Welcome to Fall Rise Give, a space where we invite you to dig into the real cause of your suffering, looking at opportunities for growth with a change in your beliefs, thoughts, and actions so you can be your true self and be inspired. Join us as we explore life's ups and downs and navigate the twists and turns, sharing stories of resilience, hope, and the transformative power of giving back. Whether you're looking for a change, in recovery, or simply seeking inspiration, this podcast is your go-to for candid conversations, raw emotions, and a whole lot of heart. Tune in and discover how to fall, rise, and give back on life's extraordinary journey.
I'm nervous.
What the hell are you nervous for? You should not be nervous. Seriously, Kumar, you should not be nervous. We've been doing this now 12 weeks. This is week number 12. Can you believe that? Did you think that 12 weeks ago that we'd be doing this thing still?
No, I think this just kind of came together on a whim. A friend of mine told me to talk to you or talk about a podcast instead of the book, and I thought of you immediately. And I called you, and you were the first person and the only person I talked to about a podcast.
Really, and so here we are. It's Fall Rise Give, turning struggles into opportunities by being your true self and helping others. And you know, the whole true self thing, I know that when we first started talking about this, I said when I first got into talk radio that one of the things that a consultant told me is you got to be yourself. You got to be true to who you are, because otherwise people can see through that. And I think that that over the last couple of months, I think that we've been our true selves, but I think we've kind of come into just a good conversation with the two of us, and it's a friendship that I wish that we would have had, that we would have started, 45 years ago.
Yeah, but we probably weren't at this level. I know you're a very skilled communicator. You're very authentic. I know I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to know what I know. I was too full of ego. I thought I had all the answers. I was so full of myself. I don't think I would have done a good job. I think I was a good kid and a good person all the way through. But I was just so driven, so much ambition. I just kind of let my ego get in the way, probably, of being a really good, kind person. I have a comment. When I was waiting tables in Minnesota at a restaurant, these guys were getting in, the cooks in the back were getting in trouble, and I went to the courthouse with one of them and trying to be the character witness, and one of them commented to me at some other time. They're like, "You're the biggest, nicest asshole I've ever met."
Don't say stuff like that when I'm drinking water. I almost did a spit take there.
That's all right. I got to make you laugh, but it's that's kind of what I was known for. Biggest, nicest guy who had an attitude and had some, little bit of an edge to me. And so I don't think I was ready. I'm a lot more compassionate, a lot more kinder towards people. I can handle people with egos a lot more now. I used to butt heads with people with big egos and big authority, and I still have those challenges. But the underdog I always fought for. The underdog I was always a big fan of and supporting them. But I think for me, what got in the way was comparing myself to the big successes and other people that I would meet, and they would have an ego. Then I would kind of butt heads and let my ego get in the way. But now I'm a lot more compassionate and a lot more understanding and accepting.
I think a lot of people do that. I think a lot of people end up trying to compare themselves to somebody else. And at the time that you're doing that, you end up putting yourself down and trying to give yourself that false sense of, I really think that we as humans tend to do that too often. And in the time that we're saying, oh my gosh, I should be like, I should be like Mark Cuban. I should be a billionaire. I should be, like a lot of the guys that are on Shark Tank. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. I think that if we give ourselves time and we work on the things, we do we've talked about it in the past, we do the little baby steps into things that will be able to end up, overtaking that mountain. Kind of like we talked about earlier about the whole eating an elephant. You do it one bite at a time. It's just like being successful in life. You do it one step at a time, one bite at a time, something at a time. And pretty soon you're going to be successful at what it is that you're trying to do.
Yeah, and sometimes success can come pretty early. Like I was telling you, I actually met Mark Cuban in Utah at a restaurant. He was traveling with the Dallas Mavericks, and I had sold an internet company as well, just about a year prior to that. And I did some smart investment strategies hedging my shares in a public company through a private transaction, not to make it too complicated. But basically, Mark Cuban sold his company for billions of dollars, a couple of $1 billion to Yahoo. And he did something where he spent $22 million hedging his shares. I spent a couple of $100,000 hedging my shares. So I felt like I had a little bit of success, and maybe early on, maybe it was too much, too fast for me. But yeah, you're right. It's success that is hard earned, that takes a little longer, is much more appreciated than maybe a quick win. And that's, I feel like maybe
Mm-hmm.
I hit a single or a double pretty early on in life. That was a pretty successful thing, and I think let my ego get in the way a little bit.
Let's talk about that, about the thing that takes a long time in order to be successful at. You have a daughter that just graduated from college, and I mean that putting in the time there and the effort in order to do something like that. That to me is pretty amazing when somebody can go through and actually finish it. Because there's so many people that drop out of college after after a semester, after a year, after 2 years. They end up finding something else that they. I'm going to take a gap year and never go back. Congratulations to you for having a daughter that has finished college.
Yeah, it's a big deal. She did it in 4 years. She's one of those driven people, maybe to her fault as well. She's so driven, very ambitious. She was on the dean's list in the School of Business at University of Washington the whole time. Every quarter, um, she graduated with honors. She has a job lined up. She flew to Europe today. She ended up in an island off the coast of Spain. She traveled 24 hours in the plane, and so she's living a blessed life. And yeah, but she worked very hard. She stresses herself out a lot by working very hard. Kind of a perfectionist, almost to a fault. But yeah, I'm very proud of her. Very proud of the fact that she has a job. And so I'm very, very happy about that. And so she'll be moving to San Francisco sometime soon and starting a new job. I am all for anybody accomplishing any goal in whatever time it takes them. I think hats off to everybody. Everybody works at their own pace. Everybody goes through life through their own journey. We really shouldn't compare ourselves to others. And power to anybody who accomplishes any goal, especially going to college and finishing a degree.
You're talking about goals, and I'm thinking about the last couple of weeks that we've done the podcast. We had Maya on a couple of weeks ago, and then we had Ryan on this past week, and just to see what they have done, what they've overcome in their lives. I mean, that's pretty amazing. The attitude adjustment program seems to work well with them and for them, and I know that you met them through the program. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. A little bit about my story of recovery in the sense that, like I said, I was a mainstream drinker. I drank probably wine on a regular basis more often than I wanted to. I really did it to try to lose weight because I couldn't lose that weight any other way. And I learned through a diet program, Weight Watchers, in fact, actually, that if you cut out on alcohol or reduce it, you'll drop weight, which is why I did it. But then a friend recommended that I join the attitude adjustment program just to see what it's like because I didn't think I could keep it up. And so about 30 days dry, I joined it, and then I learned about this whole thing around emotional sobriety, mental sobriety, spiritual sobriety. So basically, what I've learned is that people that alcohol is not the problem, it is the solution. And it is a solution to a dissatisfied life, a life that we had expectations for that we're falling short on. It could be a personal trauma situation like one of our guests, very devastating story in that way that they had to overcome those struggles. It could be a business thing where you lose your job or whatever. I don't want to belittle that by saying whatever, but it could be any number of things. And we're dissatisfied, we're discontent. And what we do is we drown our emotions through a bottle of beer or alcohol, and we live a numb life. And that's kind of what I was living, is a numb life. And about 9 months ago, that was me. And so now I meditate every day. I was meditating regularly, I would say probably 3 to 5 times a week. Now I'm meditating twice a day. I've been exercising since 2021 every morning. When I get up, I have my meditation prayers. I have a different routine. I feel like I'm much more in tune with my spirituality, with my intuition, with my higher power. I read a book about a week. Every week and a half, I read a book. And so I'm living the way I want to live. A friend of mine used to ask me, "What books are you reading? What books are you reading?" And I was so embarrassed. I wasn't reading any books, and I was like, "I haven't read any books for years." And so I was spending too much time drinking and watching TV and just living a numb life. Now I feel like I'm reading an incredible book right now called Limitless by Jim Quick, and it's teaching you about methodologies of being limitless in your mental self. He's kind of the brain coach to the world and superstar. He's got a bestseller. He had 100 million downloads of his podcast so far. The guy's got 100 million downloads of his podcast.
Wow.
Jim Quick from the book Limitless. I'm like, can I just borrow one, please? I'd like to just have 1 million, followers on ours. We'll get there. We'll get there. But I think the message is that, you're reading, you're learning, you're constantly improving. You kind of got the growth mindset and growing yourself as a person. And that's what you get when you live in a world of not drowning your emotions, when you're not living a numb life. You have time in your hands. And that's why I think being sober or dry, as you call it, for anybody who's looking to get more time for themselves, more health, more mental and emotional sobriety, spiritual sobriety, get in touch with their higher self. I highly recommend it. That's kind of why we're doing this podcast, Bob. I know you're going to ask me one of those questions, but why I'm doing it is because I feel like I've gotten so much out of it. I've become my true self, a person who cares about others, person who's excited about life. Certainly, I have challenges, and I go through a really hard time in my day job, but I'm dealing with things in a way that I want to deal with them, and so I love to give back, and that's part of the whole thing about I've fallen, I've risen, and I may fall again, but that's okay. I'll rise again, and I want to give back to the society and to people who want to better themselves.
You mentioned the reading. Do you actually read the book, or do you listen to audio, or do you do a little bit of both,
I
a
actually read.
combination
I
of the
listen
two?
to a few podcasts here and there, but I mostly read books because I tend to do it at night. I tend to spend an hour to two in the evening or at night. And then on the weekends, I'll spend my weekend afternoons reading quite a bit. So I'm one of those bookworms in that
Hmm.
way. I'll read and I won't fall asleep when I start reading either. I'll give myself a couple of hours to wait a little bit and read for half an hour, take a break, read for another half an hour, take a break, read for another half an hour. And that's kind of what Jim Quick recommends as well. If you want to be a better reader, better comprehension, give yourself breaks. And 25 minutes is all the attention your brain can handle anyway. So that's what I try to do.
Okay, that's a good thing to know because you gave me a couple of books to read, and I get about halfway through. I'm gung ho for a while, start reading it, and get really into it, and then my mind starts going over here, and then the squirrel,
Yeah.
you know, and and so maybe I need to do that 25 minute. What about your writing of the book? Are you still writing a book?
Yeah. I am writing the book. I followed a program for 30 days. I finished writing the 14 chapters. Um, and the next phase is to edit, which takes a long time. And so I'm in the editing phase. Um, my day job has gotten really intense the last few weeks. So I've just decided to focus on the day job and as an IT professional and, maintain my reading and writing. I think also what I learned from our podcast of the last two guests and having guests and stories, I think our podcast is also going to provide a lot of content for us, a lot of stories that people are interested in. And I think that some of these
Hmm.
stories, some of these topics that we cover are going to add value to the book. So I'm excited about leveraging some of the stories out of our podcast and our conversations. But yeah, I wish I could write more. I love writing, and I just haven't done that much in the last 2 weeks.
What about prioritizing of time, Kumar? I know that in some of the things that we've talked about in the past, and just even like some of the struggles that I have personally in life, are prioritizing time in order to get things done in a decent amount of time. Do you have any like tricks or anything for that?
Yeah, I do. And again, they're from people that have taught me how to, business books. There's a great book out there, classic. Jim Quick talks about classic books that he read when he was growing up. I read almost all those books: Think and Grow Rich, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, First Things First, Power of Positive Thinking, all of that stuff. And Richest Man in Babylon, A Man's Search for Meaning, all those great classics. The one that stands out, The Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, he's got a chapter in there on first things first. And what he talks about is filling your day with the top three things you have to get done. And so when your glass is full of water, which is all the small stuff, and you add some big rocks or big items to your day, and you're filled with little stuff, your water's going to overflow. And if you take a glass and put some big rocks in it, all your big things and all the small pebbles, and put some sand and some water in it, you can fit a lot more in if you make sure that you get your most important things done for the day. So I try to focus on 3 or 4 things I got to get done for the day, work-wise, during the day. And then I just focus on getting those done, and then I'll fit in the rest of the stuff later. But what's not negotiable for me is working out in the morning, praying, reading, meditating. These are non-negotiable habits that I've just developed in the last 9 months. Kind of solidified them. I had them before. Like I said, I've been working out for the last 3 years, 3.5 years, every morning. But like I said, I think I've only missed 8 days out of the last 4 years working out in the mornings. Not that I'm a huge gym rat. I just try to make sure I get in there for 30 minutes to an hour, do some cardio, and get a big sweat in. I'm certainly not in the best shape in the world, but I'm not unhealthy.
Well, for 55, you're doing pretty good, man. 4 days and 5 days, would you say 8 days in 4 years?
That's all I missed. Yeah, 8 days. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think, and it's good for your brain. That's why I do it. I do it because first thing in the morning, there's a book out there called the 5 a.m. Club. A guy named Robin Sharma wrote that book years ago. And he talks about getting up at 5 a.m. and doing your routine, planning your day, getting a workout in, doing some reading, some prayer, some meditation, getting your day started in such a way that you want to get in what's the most important thing to you that day is. And nowadays, I spend most of my day thinking about gratitude, about abundance, how I can share compassion and kindness with others. I try to bring that into my work life during the day. I work with a lot of people, obviously, in a management kind of a position. And so I try to see if I can bring a little bit of soul to the world of business, try to be more compassionate, try to be more understanding. Still trying to achieve some pretty serious and pretty high intense goals, but try to bring a little bit of humanity into the workday, and then apply that towards my personal life and do the little things that I can. But it all starts with a workout in the morning to get my juices going.
You know, one of the things I found out since I've started working out as well, I only hit 3 or 4 days a week. So I'm not as motivated as you are maybe. But I've found out that at about 15 minutes in, all the problems that I have in my life just go away. They melt because I'm focused in on trying to become a healthier person myself. And I feel all of this energy coming at me, and all of the problems that I have just melt away. And I'm focused in on trying to do the best that I can in order to keep myself moving and to keep my heart rate up and to keep focusing in on trying to finish. You got a big old smile on your face right now, so you must feel the same way I do when you get into the workout.
Yeah, but I think it's great that you're doing it. I think it's the best thing for yourself. Self-care is not that well known, or people don't take care of themselves. And so putting yourself first is hard for parents, grandparents, and just people in partnership with a romantic partner or what have you. And so there's so many suckers of energy, right? Energy suckers in life. There's jobs, there's obligations, there's things that go wrong with your car, there's stuff you got to do for other people. And so it's very hard to fit it in. That's why I just say get it done in the morning, even if it's 20 minutes, like you said. Start out small. I could barely do 20 minutes 4 years ago, right? And so, and again, I don't work out more than an hour ever. I work out usually minimum of 30 minutes, and often it's between 40 to 60 minutes, but it's the best thing you can do for yourself. It gets away my problems, my stress. I was pretty stressed today. I had some meetings that went south in the last week, work wise, and there's a lot of executives at my company are stressed out about projects, budgets. People are going over budgets on certain things, and just trying to maintain my emotional stability, and then trying to live a life of compassion is very hard to do when people are stressed out. A woman called me today at about 10 o'clock and said, "Hey, can we talk?" At work, in the work meeting, in a Zoom meeting, and she wanted to talk about a meeting she had with executives and how much stressed out they were. And I'm like, well, I hear you. And I got a good workout in this morning. All I can worry about is what can I control today, right now? What can we help them with the data that they need, with information that they need to make a better decision? And let's just focus on that little by little. Let's just control what we can today. And so it really is not about working out for 4 years and hours and hours. Just today, get 15 minutes in, move your body. It's the wonders for your brain. Research has shown over and over again it reduces dementia, it reduces all sorts of illnesses. Obviously, it's good for your heart. Heart disease is the number one killer in the US. On and on and on. But the best thing I do it keeps me sane. I gotta work out because it keeps me mentally stable, man. At the end of the day, that's why I
Right.
do it.
Hey, let's finish off the this podcast discussing the title. Fall, Rise, Give. But then we've got our subtitle, which is turn struggles into opportunities by being your true self and help others. Why did you come up with that, with the subtitle to that?
So I think Fall, Rise, Give kind of tells you what it is. There's a book that I loved years ago that a famous woman wrote called Eat, Pray, Love. And she had a story about eating and praying and then falling in love. She traveled to Italy, and then she went to India, and then she went to Indonesia and Bali, and she met her husband. We all fall. I think it's necessary to understand and deal with pain and suffering. We're all going to suffer. We're all going to have losses in our life, and we're all going to fall. The thing that successful people do is they fall a lot, they fail a lot, but they get back up. They rise again. And sometimes you got to do it daily. To be honest with you, Bob, I'm in a situation for the last 6 months. I've had to really put into practice what we're talking about on the podcast about the topic of being serene and peaceful. I'm in a pressure cooker at work right now, just getting hammered with all sorts of problems and challenges. And I have a choice that I make every day. I choose to rise and fix problems. I choose to be able to do certain things. So winners, successful people, people who want to live a life of inspiration, find a way. They get help from others. They get help from their higher power, God, Jesus, Buddha, whatever that is to you. Find help through prayer and then rise again. And then you have an obligation. The easiest way to get out of your head is to think about somebody else. And this attitude adjustment program talks about these things as well. It talks about giving. They say that to be truly sober, you have to help other alcoholics or other drunks or other drinkers. To be truly sober, you got to help the person in line next. Alcoholism is such a huge disease, and so is addiction. West Coast as a whole is stuck with tons of homeless population of people who are addicts at so many different levels, and it's a slippery slope. You start out with soft things like alcohol or pot or whatever, then it's easy to on ramp into heavier drugs. And so for me, why I started the fact that we all struggle, and these struggles is what makes us unique. Once we get past the pain or understanding the pain, we don't ever maybe heal ever from the pain, but we can turn that into opportunities for our growth, right? You can say, God, I failed in business. I had a business failure. I can learn. I can help other people who failed in businesses. I had a problem with being overweight and drank too much. I can help other people recover from that because I recovered from that. So that's the part about taking your struggles, finding your true self, right? By doing all the right things in recovery or sobriety or whatever you want to call it, or just living a life of inspiration. And then from there, you pick and choose, saying, okay, I want to help somebody. Maybe I go work at a homeless shelter. I walked by a homeless shelter today. There was a soup kitchen at my church. There were people on the streets there. And there was a guy we said hello to, who was a homeless guy. And so it's little things that you do to give back to society and to people. And as soon as you get out of your own head and think about others, there's a level of gratitude that comes from it. There's a level of abundance. As soon as you give your two hands, you release, you open up your hands to get more back. So that's what the title is, really. And then the key component, I think, that you talked about is struggles and opportunities. Your struggles are unique to you. No two people that I know have similar struggles. They have different backgrounds, different families. They could be brothers, sisters, have different problems. And each struggle is unique. Each thing is going on in your own head. And that special pain, when turned into an opportunity for growth, can be your gift. And once you start to realize the gift that you got to share with somebody else, that's what makes it special. That's what makes you want to go out there and say, I too suffered, man. I was there. Maybe let's just walk down the street together and share our, bread, or share our conversation about a momentary in time, about helping you feel kindness towards each other. Or you could take that to a whole new level. You could be in a program where you can be a mentor to an inner city kid, or mentor to struggling business people, or mentor to an alcoholic. All sorts of things you can do to help people. And if we can spread the message of giving more to get yourself back to be your true self, that's what this is about. That's what we're here for, is spread the goodness of love and kindness and put our egos aside and live a better life. That's how I survive, man. I get excited about these podcasts. I have people telling me, I had a woman post on 3 different WhatsApp groups yesterday about our podcast, and says how much she loves the Mondays when we post these things up. And she talked about Ryan and Maya, and these are friend circles of ours that people are in. And it was pretty awesome. At least 300 people saw the group in the texts in WhatsApp. That was pretty cool. And it wasn't me posting it, it was them. The message is sticking. People like what we're saying. We're coming from the heart. We're trying to help people be their true selves, but understanding their struggles, turn that into opportunities, and then give back so they can truly be happy. All you got is today and now. The power of now is the key. Just focus on what you want right now.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Fall, Rise, Give, where we explore stories of resilience, growth, and giving back. If you enjoyed today's episode, please visit our website at www.fallrisegive.com. Also, consider subscribing to our podcast on your favorite platform and leaving us a review. Your feedback helps us to continue to bring you inspiring stories. Stay tuned for our next episode, and remember, every fall is a chance to rise, and every rise is an opportunity to give. Until next time, keep falling, rising, and giving. This is Fall, Rise, Give, produced by podcastforhire.com. Thank you for listening.